they're willing to, you know, basically go overseas to get players on the cheap, but won't make that commitment to players right here in this country.
Well, I tell my guys all the time, look in the stands. See the faces that's in the stands. You don't see enough of us in there for them to value us for our dollars. Negro League days, yeah, we became this savior again of Major League Baseball because that 20, 30,000 people that are showing up to the games for Negro League games now start showing up to see the black players compete against white players in the major leagues. But now that dollar then faded out, and now they're investing in baseball academies in the Dominican Republic and other countries, and they bring look who's taking over the game, and look where baseball is investing money. And then they go in again. They have these urban initiatives where they got an academy that runs year round in the Dominican Republic and the other countries. In black communities, they got some black former major league players going around these urban initiatives doing a weekend camp once a year. So you go come and show some kids something for 2 days. Give them a bat and a glove and you're gone into next year. Let's not go develop ball players for the major league. We need our own league. We need our own independent leagues. And the last chapter in the book is a call to action. Who's going to be the next visionary of Rube Foster? It was done then, so it can be done again because history only repeats itself over and over again.
Now I remember you had tried to put together. I think I'm not sure, is it still being in the beginning? I know you tried to put together an independent league of yourself, of your own. Talk a little bit about that, and what's again, other than like you said, what are some of the things that you want to see, that you would want to see happen in this league, but also what's the most important thing that could be done so you can cultivate these numbers so that you will see more black players, playing baseball on a college level, on a high school level, and most importantly, on a major league level?
Well, the only way you're going to see that happen, from my perspective, is you're going to have your own developmental leagues where you can bring these top players together to what we call, when I say developmental, basically independent leagues, which is, a level of professional baseball that's not affiliated with a major league team. And you have to take these players, as I said, develop them, define those that are really legitimate major league talent, because every kid that plays baseball or high school, college, and in the minor leagues are not major league material. Another show.
Game Changer. Rube Foster and the Birth of Black Baseball. Not just another book, but the book of books for a 21st century generation. Can I tell the story? Purchase your copy today at www.feoa.info, www.feoa.info, and be sure to purchase your copy of the book. You won't regret it. Click the link to share, subscribe, follow, or like us on social media. Thank you in advance for your support. That's www.feoa.info.
There's actually two drafts when the draft takes place. A draft to fill out minor league roster and a draft of guys that are projected to play in the major league. Another show. But you have to find those players that are truly legitimate major league talent, take them to the door like they do in these other countries, and present them to Major League Baseball and say, here's a group of 20 black players. The next Rube Foster, the next Satchel Paige that can play, compete, and be successful and potential Hall of Famers on the major league level, and force Major League Baseball, if that's the way we go to take these players. Now, again, we tried to do it, as you mentioned. We tried to do an independent league. We had it going for 30 days, and you couldn't tell those guys, we had black kids from all over different countries. You couldn't tell them for those 30 days that wasn't a major leagues. But we couldn't sustain ourselves because we had a lot of commitments that were made to us financially that did not come through. So consequently, we found ourselves, we got to pay bills and we ain't got the money. We had seed funding to get it started.
Sure.
But we didn't have the funding to keep it going because it didn't come through. We weren't drawing attendance and the cassettes, so consequently we weren't getting cassettes. So we couldn't sustain ourselves. And eventually I made the decision that we got to fold this league. And of course, it was all over. He running a scam and this and that, but when you know the insight. But guys came to me that was on the team when we did make the decision we were for, They said, Coach, we don't care if we don't get paid. We just want to play ball. I told them, we can't pay the umpires. We still got a $20,000 balance is due on the field for renting the field. We put $10,000 down, but we had a $20,000. We can't pay those bills. We house the players for 30 days. We can't pay for the rent. All this stuff coming into play. You got to have sponsors. And we're still working on bringing the league back. Some asked me, well, what would you do different? I said, I wouldn't do anything different. One thing I would do is I would make sure we had the funds in the bank before we started, because when you run a local league or a travel ball or this and that, you can cut corners and manage because you're dealing with thousands of dollars. You throw a little cookie fundraiser and raise money. Now you're dealing with hundreds and thousands of dollars. Not quite millions, but hundreds of thousands to run a independent league, and you got to have that money in place. That was the only mistake we made. I tell people we was hit with we had everything planned out. We was hit with a perfect storm that we never saw in our bag up plans. And, with no money, you don't move.
Oh yeah. It's any sort of athletic venture that you're trying to do, especially when it's independent of other than it's always going to be tough.
Chapter 8, Black Economic Power. Every game fueled local economies. Black newspapers ran box scores. Restaurants, hotels, and barbershops thrived when the league came to town. The Negro Leagues weren't just about baseball. They were about Black enterprise. When the Monarchs came through, everybody ate. The whole neighborhood came alive. Rube Foster dreamed of a day when Black and white teams would meet on the same field as equals. But he also believed in ownership, in keeping the game, the teams, and the profits in Black hands. Foster's vision wasn't just integration, it was independence. He wanted equality without surrender. The book is ready. Make sure to purchase your copy today. It is now available on Amazon, and our website makes sure to get it today.